Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Chamberlain Usol.
Good morning, I'm Ayo, marking a welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Well, yes, it's another week that, focusing and keeping tabs, trying to ensure that, things are done to prevent COVID-19 spread in different countries, adopting different measures to slow the spread, economic measures as well, to see how they could cushion people's bottom line, countries' bottom line, businesses' bottom line. So lots of activities and actions, directives have been given. Different countries are grappling to see how do we ensure that certain things are carried out the way they want them, the way they would love to see. So democracies are grappling with communist systems. In China, for instance, when all they did was just simply give that directive and everybody obeyed. So they were on lockdown for about 40, 50 days, and eventually they've even spoken about how their economy is recovering and bouncing back. So,
and willing to even assist other nations now.
So there you go. But, back here, security operatives are also concerned about the spread of the virus. The IGP is asking everyone to voluntarily adhere to the directives on the spread of COVID-19. Aside from asking voluntary compliance, he also asked all zonal assistant inspectors general of police, commissioners of police nationwide to ensure that all legitimate orders are strictly enforced within their areas of jurisdiction. Now, the police chief further directs the zonal AIGs and commands CPs to ensure that cases of unnecessary arrest and detention of suspects are not condoned. That was an all-eye.
Well, part of the things that he also advised were social visits to police stations and other police offices, and the immediate closure of the Nigeria Police Academy, as well as police primary and secondary schools nationwide. These are things that, not just the police, several agencies of government have. Lagos State government, for instance, has said level 1 to 12, work from home. Kwara State government, the same. I'm pretty sure that a number of other, state governments will do that. There are a number of corporate organizations that have already initiated that, which was one of the reasons we were asking some of our guests last week. What kind of conversation should government be having with private organizations who work basically, physically, so that the effect of this coronavirus and whatever else, doesn't completely eradicate whatever it is their bottom line would consume. But, you would also reference yesterday when, the Lagos State government, for instance, said any gathering more than 50, more than 20 shouldn't hold. Of course.
At some point, the government says 50, then you hear 20.
First of all, it was 50.
20.
First of all, it was 50. Then when I saw the permutation of many, religious organizations says, okay, you can, if you have 50, once you are 35, you did not begin to see the permutation. Wait a minute. This could be another thing. Let's bring the number down to 20. And that's what they did. You heard our guest last week on Friday who was saying, okay, anyone who is, they also began to permit it because no one was prepared for any such shock to the system. But here we are, But one thing that kept buzzing in my head yesterday, because a significant number of churches, religious organizations adhere to that. The Islamic faith, for instance, they banned all public gatherings on Friday last week. To a large extent, we saw that hold. A number of churches in Lagos, the big churches, for instance, they did that. I don't know if we can say the same for many smaller churches. I saw a report by one of our correspondents who said that shouldn't hold. But here we are now. I don't think the full import of this whole social distancing ideology has really hit us.
Well, even in countries that was hit, some of them had to be compelled. I mean, Britain the other day they were confused between not wanting to force people and appealing to people because it's a democracy.
Yeah.
And so he did say, the Prime Minister, look, if fresh air won't heal you of some of these things, you need to maintain that distance. And we also need to know back here in the country, as much as some states, it hit some states, and then it's not been reported in other states by the media. And so you see those other states carrying on as though, well, it's not here. What's my business? Why should I be concerned with what Lagos, Abuja, Ekiti, Ondo, or Yo are concerned with? But that kind of attitude shouldn't be, really, because it's in the country. Interstate transport and movement still goes on.
You know, I saw a report, Chamberlain, that, you know, well, some permutation by some folks to say, look, you don't even know who has it. So how do you even know, you know, Lagos State government, for instance, is also trying to do something about the, you know, transportation system. What's going to happen? You know,
the thing about not knowing who has it is that someone could have it
and not know.
And not know.
Exactly.
And someone could contract it for the person who has it but doesn't know and show symptoms. While the person who has it doesn't show symptoms.
So you see, this whole what do you call it, contact tracing thing is going to be very, very difficult.
How many Lagos? 1,300 as at when?
1,300 as at last week. We don't know how many now. I needed to go out of town yesterday. I saw in Ibadan. Yes, I happened to, no, it wasn't in public transport. It was actually what I said. So I traveled. Yes, I had to drive. I had to get someone to drive me over.
You went to Ibadan, where?
Yes. Now, this is what happened. I was looking out for, you know, public
You were
cars.
looking for COVID?
I was looking out for public cars. Would you let me talk?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I was looking in cars that ordinarily should take 2 in front, 3 at the back. We're taking 5 at the back, 3 in the front. Please tell me, if any of them had contact with a confirmed case, how is government going to do contact tracing for that? And that's not, I'm not just talking about one vehicle. I'm talking about cars, I'm talking about buses, I'm talking about minibuses, I'm talking about space cars, all of them. But you know, parked.
The thing about that is
interstate.
Now, some scenarios played out. While we did ask some of them, why are you people not taking precaution? Don't you know what's going on? They say, well, look, COVID is not for us. It's for some other people. And then the other narrative is that, look, government says the buses, I think it can seat 47, and that's Lagos State. You should allow those 47 seats. But the thing is, as much as, yes, they're trying to do what they can to ensure that people are safe, and yes, we appreciate everybody who's doing what they can, but the thing about that is, even if there are 47 people sitting and nobody is standing, you know how it is. When you enter the bus, you touch the metal before you go sit. Everybody enters and touches it. So if somebody who's contracted it and touches it, the same thing happens. Even the churches where they say 20, 30, even if it's 5. What if someone has it, sits on the chair? Do they ensure that they clean those chairs before the next people come and sit down? Those are the kind of scenarios. So it's
which underscores our own responsibility. Yes, we know that government has a job of work on our hands, to borrow your term, 200 million people to govern, and whoever knows how many thousands of, you know, contact tracing government may need to do as at today. You know, it's all there. But then we need to find a way to protect ourselves, because you really, as we often say, these things are not written on the face.
The same way we tell people to be security conscious all by themselves first and not necessarily wait for government. We have to say the same thing at this point in time. You need to look out for yourself. You need to take those precautionary measures for yourself. You may think you are invincible, but it's not necessarily the case, because there are medical information out there that perhaps when you do hear, who knows, maybe when we do have the NCDC boss, he's going to be joining us today, and several others, maybe we just may see a lot more reason why we should take a lot more precaution. Not just in the urban areas now.
Exactly.
Rural areas have, I mean, if it hits any of those areas, what kind of health facilities do we have? Can we contain some of these things? These are some of the questions we hope to pose to the authorities when we get the chance. But for now, we'll just go over what the dailies, how do they reflect the developments today? Welcome back. So while the IGP did give that, can we call the order, advisory, directive? It is an order.
It is an order.
And then many wonder, how should the police be used in this kind of case? So, can there be a national directive? Because if some states have it, others don't, can the police force enforce those orders in the same manner for states that don't have it and states that do.
It said legitimate orders. So
what is a legitimate order and what is a non-legitimate order in this regard?
In some states, the order doesn't exist. So,
and shouldn't it?
Well,
I mean, do they have to wait? Zimbabwe, remember, they didn't have any case when they shut their borders and stopped flights. So, well, I guess let's take a look at Vanguard now. Coronavirus, Lagos state government shuts down civil service for 2 weeks. Okay. Yeah, if you listen to that, they did say, I think he said he was asking about 70% of the workforce not to come to work. Work from home. 2 weeks won't hurt anybody, he says. And several other people doing the same thing. But look at the riders. Private sector urged to follow suit. Tasks market leaders on hygiene. That's a crucial point. Because people who are staying at home will go to the markets.
Sincerely. And social distancing at the markets? I don't know.
Social distancing at the market?
I don't know.
Oyo gets first positive case, 4 of 39 cases in FCT positive. 4 of 39 cases in FCT. FCT's got 39 cases.
Well, perhaps.
Confirmed cases in Nigeria now 30. I had vision of forced holiday at the boy. Bankers Committee directs oil firms to sell forex only to CBN. Okay. Kwara government directs civil servants to work from home. MTN orders staff to work from home. I've heard that now. From home, about 3 riders indicating that. So there you go. The questions linger about the police themselves. So you see an image concerning that here. And then they give you COVID-19 spread latest to see worldometer there, indicating the countries that this reflects. So there you go. Fear in Ogun community over invasion by herdsmen. Take a look at what's on the back page. Ranger striker Ifeanyi George killed in car crash. What a sad one there. LMC expressed its shock. Heartline commiserate with Rangers. Japan finally starts talk over postponing Tokyo 2020 Olympics. There you go. That's Vanguard this morning.
A very, very costly thing all over the world. Nigerian Tribune leads with, of course, the same story. COVID-19. Lagos, Kwara order workers to work from home. Front page Nigerian Tribune right there. Cases now 30 in Nigeria. And this is what, we mentioned earlier, how the police will enforce legal orders. Police chase worshippers out of churches. That's it right there. Many other churches conduct online services. IGP warns against unnecessary arrests and detention of suspects. You find that on the front page. Directs you to pages 2, 3, 4, and 9, where you'll find that story. Right under the picture there, alleged 3 billion naira graft. EFCC to arraign ex-HOS, Oyoita, 8 others today. Stories on page 30. Social distancing, how's that going to be effected in the court? Find out on page 30 of the Nigerian Tribune. Right above the nameplate, 36 states, FCT generated 2.5 trillion naira net revenue in 2018. That's according to the FRC. That's the Fiscal Responsibility Commission. Check the details on page 11. Continues on page 11, beg your pardon. Be transparent with 1.3 trillion naira coronavirus intervention fund. PDP tells FG. Find that story on page 9 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Everyone is concerned about that one. Well, that's the Nigerian Tribune this morning.
Take a look at The Guardian next. COVID-19 cases rise to 30, spreads to 4 states, FCT. And then you see the matter which we highlighted initially. IGP orders nationwide enforcement of social restriction. So it's nationwide now. But as I said yesterday, we still saw so many people going to the movies in different states. So that's a huge gathering. Yeah, but okay, I'll come to that. Airspace shuts down. Airspace shut down costs 4,000 jobs, 180 billion naira revenue. So we're hoping to see what's going on with the airlines this morning. Remember, they're supposed to begin that enforcement, which the government announced of those airlines today. So we won't like to see how are those playing themselves out. And then pharmacists warn against indiscriminate use of chloroquine.
You remember last week the Commissioner for Health in Lagos said that's it's something of concern already in hospitals. People are being brought into hospitals for overdose of chloroquine.
And then the NDLEA did say, well, yes, it's been approved for clinical trials, but you know,
not
how
clinical consumption.
How people interpret some of those information here, it's amazing. And then the last of the right here says, PDP rights body demand transparency on funds. So there you go. And then speaking about what it's not going to be easy for the police, look at this one. Police raid churches in Lagos, Ogun. Yeah. But right beside that, armed men kill one farmer, abduct 3 women with kids in Benue. And then you ask yourself, what's police doing about some of these things as well? So there you go. But then they also have this, how political parties violated rule on election expenses by INEC. Shareholders reveal loopholes exploited by politicians. Take a look at the back page. Nigeria mourns as 2 Enugu Rangers stars die in auto crash. So that's what you see there. And then they have several other stories which you could also go ahead and see. That's Guardian this morning.
The New Telegraph leads with pretty much the same story about COVID-19. Lagos orders civil servants to stay at home for 14 days. That's about the coronavirus. Nigeria's confirmed cases rise to 30 with 8 new patients. Adeboye, what God told me about COVID-19 lockdown. We want to find that on the inside pages. Churches comply with government's directives and shut down. That's right there. And then under the picture you see there of that greeting of the governor and someone else, I won't keep quiet in the face of impunity. Obasanjo narrates how Abacha plotted to poison him in prison. That's right there. Oh, I missed the figures about this COVID-19 cases in Nigeria right on the left and on the right-hand side of the picture on the front page. Then, of course, a number of other stories you'll find interesting on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, on the Nigerian New Telegraph, this morning. Okay, so let's see if we could flip and take a look at what the next daily is reflecting here this morning. Look at the Daily Trust. Nigeria's COVID-19 cases rise to 30. Worshippers troop to churches, mosques, despite ban. No restriction in Niger, Abia, Bauchi, Edo, Yobe. Did you see the image making the rounds about the Abia state governor? Yeah. I'd like to know in what context that statement was made, how he did say, well, they had Ebola, they had monkeypox, it passed them by, and so this was also going to pass by. But the thing about that video is that people will interpret it as though he's thinking, we're not going to shut down anybody, keep doing your business as usual. And we're probably not even going to take any precaution. Well, I think the Abia state governor needs to speak up and clarify those images, because people will interpret those images differently before you say Jack Robinson. Look at the other rider here. Bayelsa, Osun, Lagos, Ondo record low turnout. IGP directs enforcement. Lagos, Kwara issue work from home order. So the camera should hit the streets this morning and see how the roads are, because we understand that yesterday, it was thinning out. This morning, traffic was really light. So some of us staying back at home. So hopefully we should capture some of those as well. So that's Daily Trust this morning. And the Blueprint newspaper is coming next. And pretty sure it's going to be the same thing, just as you can see. COVID-19, Nigeria records 30 cases, 300,000 affected globally, 800 thereabout evade quarantine nationwide. That is troubling. Lagos Kwara order workers to stay at home. Ogun Task Force disperses deviant worshippers. About time. PDP churches flout government order in Delta. Serap wants funding tracked and monitored. Story is on the inside pages. Of course, you see a couple of pictures right there. NNPC rakes in 5.28 billion naira in December 2019 trading surplus. You find the story also on the inside pages. Right under the nameplate, coronavirus, oil price slump threaten FRS 8.5 trillion naira revenue target.
You still have 8.5. Are they still in? Look, God, come on, that can't be realistic. Are they still insisting on the target? Global economy is taking a tumble, and they're talking about meeting this target.
Well, apparently, that's the budget has taken a hit. So,
where are they going to get the money from? Isn't it from people
who are not working right now? I mean, you know, just last week we also heard how hard hit the airline industry is already hit. And of course,
people are talking about bailout for those supporting those airline industry and several businesses. It's talking about targets.
Oh,
come on.
But what's wrong with setting targets?
You have to be. The thing wrong is if it's not realistic, then that's wrong.
Right beside that one, businesses explore measures to reduce COVID-19 impact. That's also on the inside pages.
Okay, what else do we have now other than blueprints? Okay, looks as if that's it, right?
Well, that's pretty much it. But I think, you know, the home run should be for anyone this morning. This is definitely not just a walk in the park. It is affecting businesses massively, affecting economies massively. Just last week we heard the impact on the airline industry, 222,000 plus jobs hanging in the balance. And if those airlines do not work according to the federal government's order that you highlighted the other time, who knows what's going to happen again?
So expectedly or naturally, government will then have to show a human face in those policies of theirs, as is being done the world over, on a regular basis too, I might add. So we'll be looking to see further announcements by the authorities there to keep up with all of this. So we're back in a moment. Stay with us.
Coronaviruses are a large family of viruses that cause illness ranging from the common cold to more severe diseases. The current outbreak, COVID-19, is a new strain that has not been previously identified in humans. The incubation period is between 1 to 14 days, most commonly around 5 days. Common signs of the infection include respiratory symptoms, fever, cough, shortness of breath and breathing difficulties. In more severe cases, infection can cause pneumonia, severe acute respiratory syndrome, kidney failure, and even death. Basic protective measures against COVID-19 include frequently washing your hands with soap and water. In the absence of soap and water, thoroughly clean your hands with an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Maintain social distancing, at least 1 meter. That's 3 feet between yourself and anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Practice respiratory hygiene. Cover your mouth and nose with your bent elbow or tissue when you cough or sneeze. Then dispose of the used tissue immediately. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Greet people with a wave, a nod, or a bow. If you have fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early. You can reach the NCDC toll-free numbers on 0800 970 0001. The Lagos State Emergency Hotlines are 08000 Corona, 080-231-69485, 080-335-65529, 080-528-17243.
The yellow buses are out, so also are the red and blue, set for the day's operation. Unfortunately for them, not too many people are outside today, and the conductors need to do twice as much to attract as many passengers as they could. The situation appears the same at Bega, Ojota, Maryland, Costain, TBS and Obalinde bus stops, which usually attract a large volume of commuters. The bus operators are not finding it funny. As far as they're concerned, the coronavirus is a hoax which must be dismissed.
I believe there are no coronavirus in Nigeria. That's what I believe. Even a lot of people share that opinion too. So they still come as usual. Just that passengers are not coming.
People they enter motor, they say coronavirus. You know they're Nigeria.
Conversely, while those who are more informed go about with their masks, this young man also has a sanitizer in his pockets.
Even like this now, this is how I do it. See? Cover it, I put it. You see? That is how I do. I'm free. But if my friend wants to shake me, I will also give him to sanitize himself before you cannot just chop knuckle. That is how I go.
For many, social distancing is still a remote subject. A lot of catch-up and sensitization is obviously needed in this regard.
But as today, we're only carrying 42. Once the 42 cities occupy, we tell the busman to go wait for the bus. The buses have been flowing.
The directive from our head office that all the busmen should switch off their ACs in order to allow fresh air to come in instead of confining passengers or commuters in the AC.
The impact of the COVID-19 is being felt all over the state. Buses are empty as tension heightens.
However, one thing is needed, and that is more awareness in order to clear the doubt of those who believe the virus is still a scam. Chris Illems, Channels Television News.